Hey, what's up guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Crystal Beast test hand video. So I'm really excited for this one because this is actually my co-host over on StaringAtGames' favorite deck of all time, which is Crystal Beast. We actually play some really interesting games over there, like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro the Dragon, Call of Duty, all sorts of stuff, Mario, anything that you can imagine we're going to be playing it, even Yu-Gi-Oh! The Duelist of the Roses. If you guys want to go check that out, the link will be in the description, along with the deck profile for this particular deck. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of our notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below because it super helps out the channel, where we have all sorts of different rewards for you guys, like getting your name in the description for every single video, getting a signed card into the mail, or even getting to request a deck profile every single month that you are a patron, just like this one. So without further ado guys, let's get straight on into this. So, as I was mentioning before, this is actually my best friend and co-host's favorite deck. We've actually been best friends for like 18 years, which is insane to me that I could know somebody like that long. But he actually... his name is Todd, and he and I do a lot of different gaming videos over there on the other channel, and it's a lot of fun to be able to go and do those sorts of things because we play all sorts of different games. But one night we were sitting down here because we record down in my basement, but we were recording because we have a really nice gaming setup to actually record, double mics and everything to be able to record. And he was like, "Man, when was the last time you did Crystal Beast?" And I was like, "Well, it's been a little while, but you know, I could build a Crystal Beast deck." He's like, "Do it." He said, "If you do a Crystal Beast deck, I would love to see you do a test hand video, and I would love to see you do a deck profile of it so I could see how the updated version of Crystal Beast actually work, because it's been a while since I actually played around with Crystal Beast, and I would like to play around with them again. And I think it'd be a lot of fun to be able to try it out. And I wouldn't have to buy the cards because, you have them." And I'm like, "Oh, great. Okay, thanks." So I figured I would just go ahead and build this for you guys. And maybe I can actually coax him into some live duels on the channel so you guys can see this deck actually in action against a couple of different decks when we're actually recording for the other channel too. Well, not at the same time, but that'd be interesting. Call of Duty in the background and Crystal Beast in the front. So let's go ahead and see what we can actually pull off with this deck and see if we can get some insanely good test hands and see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and do some draw test hands and just see what we can get. So we're going to get Ruby Carbuncle right off the bat, Beacon, Mammoth, Crystal, Call by the Grave. I want to say Crystal by the Grave, but hey. And we get a Rainbow Dragon right in our first hand. This is not terrible because you have the copy of Carbuncle and you have the copy of Mammoth in hand. But if you're going to go ahead and draw for turn, you're going to go ahead and draw into the Sapphire Pegasus, which makes the entire hand really good because you can just normal summon the Pegasus and put a Crystal Beast in your back row. And then you have the copy of Beacon to go off when this gets destroyed and put back here. You have a lot of different plays that you can go off with this hand. So let's go ahead and do another test hand and see what you can actually pull off with this deck, because it's a really fun deck to play around with. He actually was like, "Make it as crazy as possible." I'm like, "Rainbow Neo's crazy?" He's like, "Rainbow Neo's crazy." And I was like, "Okay, let's do it." So we're going to go ahead and get a Beacon, Tortoise, another Beacon, a Rainbow Bridge, and a copy of Cat. So this is really good because you can immediately get a copy of Bond. You always want to open up Bond and Beacon is what I like to open up with, because if you open up Bond and Beacon, or a way to get to Bond and then Beacon, you have a really good play of getting 4 monsters on your side of the field, where you can just immediately grab those monsters, which is really, really cool to be able to just immediately get all 4 of your Crystal Beasts, or 4 different Crystal Beasts on your side of the field. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with our next test hand and see what we can pull off. So for the next one, we're going to go ahead and autofocus first, and then we're going to draw into a Promise and a Tortoise, Sapphire Pegasus, Amethyst Cat, and a Blessing, which is totally fine because we have the copy of Promise to special summon whatever we put in the back row. Which the interesting thing about all these monsters is these were created before they made restrictions for cards. So basically you can put Pegasus in the back for Pegasus, which is what's really cool about this deck, is that you can just immediately normal summon Pegasus, put back Pegasus in back row, trigger Promise. Promise can put another Pegasus in back row because you're going to summon a Pegasus to your side of the field, and then you have 3 Pegasuses on your side of the field, which would be Pegasuses, I guess? I don't know. Pegasi. I don't know. Anyways, I like Pegasuses better. But let's go ahead and see what we can actually do with playing out a test hand. So we're going to play one out and see what we can actually pull off, and see if we can get some insane boards for this deck. Because I've pulled off some pretty insane boards, but sometimes you just end with like Utopia Double and a Rainbow Neos, which is pretty good, but let's see what we can actually pull off. So we're going to go ahead and heart of the cards out, a Rainbow Dragon on our first card. So if we get Ultimate Crystal Magic, we're going to be totally fine. So you get Call by the Grave, Rainbow Bridge, that's totally fine. Blessings, and a Amethyst Cat. Okay, so this is fine. This is not the craziest hand, but we can pull off some really cool stuff to actually get both of our copies of Rainbow Dragon on the field. Not on our first turn, but we're going to get it out on our opponent's turn. So if we were going second, we draw into a Tortoise, which would be kind of a brick, but that's totally fine. We're going to go ahead and drop the Rainbow Bridge, and it is going to let us add from deck to hand our copy of Bond. Once you add the Bond from deck to hand, you're going to immediately activate that copy of Crystal Bond to be able to add from your deck to your hand a copy of Sapphire Pegasus. Now, something to keep in mind about Bond is it also lets you put a monster with a different name in your back row. So go ahead and put your copy of Ruby Carbuncle in your back row. If you don't have a way to summon the card out of the back row, then go ahead and put Ruby Carbuncle, so when you do, you can just immediately special summon all of your back row monsters. So now that you have the Ruby Carbuncle, you can normal summon out your copy of Pegasus, and then after you normal summon out the copy of Pegasus, at any time if your opponent tries to stop you, you have the copy of your Call by the Grave that can just help you out a lot. You can actually go a little bit different of a route. If you want to go a little bit different of a route, you can back up, don't grab any of these cards, and end it very simply. Because at that point, you're just going to end with that particular board with having another monster in the back row, which would be a Topaz Tiger. But if you want to go a really cool route, you can activate Rainbow Bridge and add the copy of Ultimate Crystal Magic from your deck to your hand. And it's going to look a little weird, but you're going to set 2 and pass. So you're going to set this, call by the grave your opponent because they're going to try and call by the grave, or they're going to try and hand trap that, and then pass. Now, when your opponent attacks into you, this is going to get destroyed. Go to the back row, and then you're immediately going to flip this over and send from your deck to the graveyard your 7 Crystal Beasts, which is going to be a Ruby Carbuncle, Amethyst Cat, Sapphire Pegasus, the copy of Topaz Tiger, your copy of Cobalt Eagle, and your copy of Tortoise. And what are we missing? Amber Mammoth, or Amber Arnold Schwarzenegger. Which, if you guys watched the dub, that's actually not him, but it was like one of the casts that they actually cast to make him sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger, which was crazy cool and was really funny as a kid. Especially when he would attack and he'd go, and it was like, what in the world is happening here? Why is Arnold Schwarzenegger a mammoth? And why is there a guy screaming, Crystal Raigeki, against me? What is happening? Why is this show a thing? So we're going to send this to the graveyard. We're immediately going to summon Rainbow Overdragon to our side of the field. And since our opponent did get this on their side of the field, or on our side of the field, they have a 4K beat stick they got to deal with. Now, when they pass the turn, if they don't get rid of this, even if they do get rid of this, you have the other copy of Rainbow Dragon in your hand that you can immediately special summon, because guess what? We have all 7 Crystal Beasts in the graveyard right there that you can immediately put this card on your side of the field, which is really, really cool that you can immediately summon this card. So you have both of your Rainbow Dragons on your side of the field, and both of them can trigger on the next turn, which is really, really nice. You can use the effect of Rainbow Overdragon, but if you top deck a Rainbow Dragon, it's going to kind of suck. So you don't want to go ahead and activate that. Don't use its effect. Don't try and push when you don't need to push for game. If you know you have game, go ahead and push for it by banishing your Crystal Beast from your graveyard to increase its attack. But if you don't have game, and you don't have a way to get that other Crystal Beast, you're just kind of messing yourself up from getting another 4K beat stick. So let's go ahead and do another test hand. Now, I will mention, you guys, I'm not going to pile shuffle, and we're going to show you something. I'm probably going to break in this next hand because I did not pile shuffle, and the 7 Crystal Beasts are still kind of stuck together. So I want to prove a point to you guys. Sometimes you will brick with this deck. If it doesn't happen, that's wonderful. But you run about, in my opinion, a 50-50 chance of bricking every single time that you don't pile shuffle, because you don't mix up those Crystal Beasts enough in this deck. So make sure when you're playing Crystal Beasts especially, and you activate that Ultimate Crystal Magic, you pile shuffle, because this is what's going to happen. You're going to draw into a Cobalt Eagle, Call by the Grave, Crystal Bond, which is already not a brick, Neos Fusion, and never mind. Don't pile shuffle. Ever again. Don't ever pile shuffle. Ever again. Just don't do it. Not even once. Okay, so Crystal Bond right off the bat. Okay, so we're going to Crystal Bond. Once you Crystal Bond, we're going to immediately grab from our deck to our hand our copy of Pegasus. Pegasus is then going to normal summon, putting a copy of Ruby. I just throw a Ruby in the back row because I don't have a way to get it out. Put the Ruby in the back row. Once you put the Ruby in the back row, you can activate your copy of Neos Fusion. If you want to go, if you're going second, activate the Neos Fusion. If you're not going second, just set the Ultimate Crystal Magic and the Call by the Grave and pass. If you're going second, like I said, activate this. So let's just go ahead and say that we pass for turn, and they attack into our Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus, and it gets destroyed. So at this point, you're going to flip face up your copy of Ultimate Crystal Magic, and it is going to trigger sending from your deck to the graveyard a Sapphire Pegasus, Amethyst Cat, Ruby Carbuncle, Topaz, Tortoise, Amber Mammoth, and Cobalt Eagle. Keep the Cobalt Eagle in your hand because it's going to be needed in a second. We're going to go ahead and send all of these to the graveyard and immediately summon out our Rainbow Overdragon to our side of the field. And then now the Ultimate Crystal Magic's going to go to the graveyard, and we're going to go to our turn. So once we go to our turn, we're going to draw into a Call by the Grave, and our opponent's probably going to try and do something like an Ash Blossom. We're going to go ahead and Call by the Grave that on the copy of Ultimate Crystal Magic. So at this point, we're going to activate the copy of Neos Fusion on our turn, and once you drop the Neos Fusion, you can do this really insane combo, that you immediately drop the Rainbow Dragon and the copy of Elemental Hero Neos, which is a kind of a brick until you do this, and it's worth it because this card is absolutely insane that we're about to summon, and you're going to summon out your copy of Rainbow Neos. Now, once you do this, you've got an OTK. If your opponent tries to do anything at all to you, you have the Call by the Grave to stop them. That's why I love Call by the Grave, and I think it's the single greatest card that Konami has literally probably ever printed in the entire game. So we're going to go ahead and normal summon out our copy of Cobalt Eagle, because you can still normal summon, you just can't do anything else besides normal summon. You can't special summon other monsters. But let's go ahead and say they Call by the Grave, or they do something like an Ash Blossom. We're going to go ahead and tribute this, shuffle all monsters on their side of the field back into the deck, and then you go for 45 and 4,000, which is 85, directly to their face with the Rainbow Neos. Funny thing, my co-host Todd actually gave me this copy of Rainbow Neos because I had a Ghost Rare and I didn't want to mess it up anymore, because I actually just finished an entire Ghost Rare collection. I'm missing like one card out of it, which is Powerful Dragon, which I'm still waiting for it to come in the mail. But this was his, which is kind of cool because it's like Jaden and Jesse in the deck, which is kind of cool. So, two best friends making a deck together in the show, and two best friends making a deck in real life to make this. So, let's go ahead and see what we can actually do for the next test hand. So, we're going to do a couple more of these and see what we can actually pull off. That was really insane. We learned not to pile shuffle ever again, because, you know, that was insane. So, let's go ahead and see what we can actually pull off with this next test hand. You got Rainbow Neos and Rainbow Overdragon in the same field. That was just bonkers. That was what I call a bonkers hand. So, let's go ahead and see what we can do for this next one. And go ahead and draw into a Cobalt Eagle, a Sapphire Pegasus, Crystal Bond, Crystal Abundance, and a copy of Call by the Grave. Okay, this hand right here is something else. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and drop the copy of Crystal Bond. If we were going second, just to show you guys, it'd be another Call by the Grave, which would not be that big of a deal. But we're not going to do that because we're going to go ahead and draw into our deck. And it doesn't super matter what you get, so I'm going to go ahead and get another Sapphire Pegasus so I can just go ahead and set up for the Abundance play. Go ahead and normal summon out the copy of Sapphire Pegasus, Call by the Grave your opponent because they're going to try and do some sort of shenanigans against you, and then immediately send or put in your back row a copy of Carbuncle, because now you've got a setup where you've got one more play essentially and you get your copy of Abundance. So we're going to go ahead and pass. Yes, this is not the most powerful board, but it is something, and they're going to destroy this by battle, and then hopefully they don't OTK you, because you will get fields like this where they try and OTK you like this. So we're going to draw into a Cobalt Eagle and then normal summon out our copy of Pegasus, putting another monster in our back row, which is going to be another copy of literally any Crystal Beast monster. It doesn't matter at this point. Just put another Sapphire Pegasus. And then now you're going to use the effect of your Abundance. Now you're going to probably wonder why. If your life points are high enough, you're just going to attack into your opponent with the copy of Pegasus and then put it in your back row and then activate your copy of Abundance by sending 4 Crystal Beast monsters, and it's going to board wipe the entire field. And then for every monster that's destroyed, you get to special summon Crystal Beast monsters as possible from your graveyard. So you just immediately get to special summon Bam, 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 and Bam. And it's going to be chain link 1, 2, 3. And they're going to put more Crystal Beasts in your back row, which is going to be your copy of Topaz Tiger, Amber Mammoth, and we already got 2 Cobalt Eagles in our hand, so it literally doesn't matter. I probably would grab something that's a one-of, like a copy of Amethyst Cat, and put that in the back row for the setup of the copy of our, So now that you got this set up, you can make some overlay plays or some XYZ plays or some link plays if you want to. I would probably make a link play where I would link these two together. Or you could go really cool route and you could actually, you could do some really cool shenanigans against your opponent and do like this and link or overlay these two and summon out your Abyss Dweller in defense mode, or you could summon Baguska in defense mode, and then you could link for your copy of Verte Anaconda because it doesn't affect Verte Anaconda because it doesn't go to defense position once returned to your standby phase. If this card is when this card is in defense position, you can change all face-up monsters in defense position, also negate their effects of the monsters in defense position. So it doesn't negate link monsters. So you just link these two away, and then you summon out your copy of Verte Anaconda if you have the 2,000 life to pay. If you don't have it, don't make it. If you have the life, make it, and then immediately summon out your copy of Rainbow Neos by sending from your deck to the graveyard your copy of Neos Fusion. Neos Fusion is then going to send a copy of Neos and Rainbow Dragon to the graveyard, which is going to summon this, and it's going to negate its effect. Yes, but you have the setup for the next turn. So let's go ahead and go into our next test hand. This is a little bit of a defensive field that I would say because you had kind of a rough start. But let's go ahead and do one more test hand and see what we can actually pull off. So the test hands that we've gotten have not been terrible. You're still able to establish boards like this as long as you have the life points to back it up, which is not terrible. I mean, as long as you have a couple of life points, like right there, if I would have had probably 3,000 life points, I would have been okay. I would have been all right to set up that field because I would have only paid maybe 1,200 to attack into a monster with the Pegasus, and then I would have paid 2K for the Verte, so I would have been like 32 down. So it wouldn't have been terrible to be able to go into that. So let's go ahead and see what we can actually pull off with our next hand. You could have actually gone for like Access Code Talker with that field if you wanted to as well, which would have been an option if you wanted to go that route, but I didn't want to go that route. So let's go ahead and cut the deck really quick and see what we can actually pull out of this particular hand. So we're going to go ahead and draw into another Cobalt Eagle. This card loves me tonight. Amethyst Cat, Beacon, Bond, that's good, and a Neos Fusion. Okay, this is a good hand. So we're going to go ahead and activate the copy of Bond. Bond is going to search from our deck to our hand a copy of Pegasus. Pegasus is then going to normal summon, and it's going to immediately put in excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to immediately use the Bond effect to put our copy of another Crystal Beast in the back row, which has to be a different name. So let's go ahead and literally grab any one you want. Doesn't matter. I'm going to grab a copy of Amber Mammoth. Amber Mammoth is just going to chill there with his awesome haircut. We're going to normal summon out our copy of Pegasus. Pegasus is going to put another one in the back row, which doesn't matter which one. Let's go ahead and put... I probably wouldn't summon Carbuncle there because I'm going to summon Carbuncle off of Beacon. So let's go ahead and put a copy of Pegasus, I guess. Because Pegasus says that Pegasus doesn't say you can't put Pegasus in the back row, which is not that big of a deal. Because it just says when this card is normally special summon, you can place a Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard and face them in your spell and trap card zone. It's a continuous spell and trap, and then it ends. So it's kind of cool that you can just put Pegasus in there. So at this point, you can activate your copy of Beacon, which Beacon is then going to trigger special summoning out your Carbuncle from deck, which is going to summon both of these to your side of the field, which we're going to move our hand down here. Once you summon all of these to your side of the field, you have some really good options here. You can go Neos Fusion. Wouldn't recommend it. I'd end with the Neos Fusion because it says you can't special summon monsters after this card's activation. So you can special summon all the way up to it because it says ignoring and summoning conditions. And for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters. Period. So that's totally fine. Not a big deal. So what we're going to do is we are going to immediately, you can link summon into an Access Code Talker here, or you could link summon into a copy of Appaloosa. You can link summon into anything that you want, or you could just link summon into a copy of or overlay into a copy of your Timeless and double the attack of your monster. So it depends on what you want to do in this particular scenario. Totally up to you. But let's go ahead and just say that we link into the copy of Access Code Talker. So we're going to go ahead and link these two together and immediately summon out our copy of... We're going to get 2 pops off of this, essentially. So we're going to go ahead and link summon into our Phoenix. Phoenix's effect, discard, and then pop a spell or trap on our opponent's side of the field. Link this away with our copy of Pegasus, and then summon out a copy of our Unicorn. Unicorn effect is then going to trigger detach or discarding this card from our hand, and then you're going to immediately trigger that effect to bounce something on your opponent's side of the field back to their hand. And then now you can link summon away your copy of Sapphire Pegasus because you popped a back row and you popped spun a monster, you can put now on your side of the field your copy of Access Code Talker. And then Access Code Talker will target this going up to 53. And then now you can drop Neos Fusion. Now that you have that on your side of the field, drop Rainbow Dragon and drop your copy of Neos. And then summon out your copy of Rainbow Neos. Right here. Doesn't matter where. You can summon out your Rainbow Neos. And then if you want to, if your opponent's life points are low enough, you can tribute the Access Code Talker. Or you can just pop cards on your opponent's side of the field by just popping these in the graveyard and getting rid of these in the graveyard, banishing them, and then you get 2 more pops. So you essentially got a back row, a monster, and then 2 more pops on your opponent's side of the field. So you got 4 removals off of that. You got the attack of the 53 and your 45. So you have like 98 on field damage, which is really, really good to be able to just put this amount of damage. And if you have to, you can trigger the effect of Neos to send a card from the top of your deck to the graveyard. And then all cards your opponent's controls are in their graveyard just get shuffled back into the deck as well. So it can kind of mess up your opponent for shuffling all those cards back. Usually I don't like to trigger that effect, but it comes up sometimes that I want to get cards out of my opponent's graveyard. So it depends on what you want to do. So that's it for the test hands, guys. That's the insane boards that you can actually pull off with this deck. I think that went very, very, very well to show you guys the insane boards. Hopefully, again, I can coax Todd, my co-host over on StaringAtGames. If you guys want to check out StaringAtGames, definitely check it out down in the description below because we have some awesome content over there like Duel of the Roses, the old school PS2 game. I will mention you guys we're going to be playing a lot of different Yu-Gi-Oh games over on that channel. We're going through the Crash Marathon right now where we're actually going to be playing through the entirety of the Insane Trilogy, but we have some really cool content coming out over there. And I really want to do this one for him because this is like his deck. Like, as growing up as kids, this was his deck. Like, mine was Black Wings and his was Crystal Beast. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out that Patreon down in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.